Transportation improvements underway in South Jersey. I'm Jill Horner. This is Comcast Newsmakers. With me is New Jersey State Senator Jeff Van Drew. Thanks for being with us.
It's great to be with you.
We're talking about the Turnpike and the Parkway, but let's talk a little bit about our history, because we're talking about some older infrastructure and the need for improvement, and this is actually related to the biggest industry in this part of the state as well, tourism. People use these roadways on a regular basis, but in the summer months these roadways become particularly important for bringing tourists to our area.
You're exactly right. Tourism and public safety both, and they're intertwined in this case, you know. And when you speak of history, you're absolutely right. If we want to look at history, I was looking at some old documentation. It was in 1960 that there were requests put forward to get the lights off the Garden State Parkway and the southern end of the parkway in Cape May County.
The
Those traffic lights. Yes, the traffic lights that are on there. 1960, that was over half a century ago, and we're still fighting that fight. Now the good news is we're ever so close now, and I truly believe within the next year or two, and I'm hopefully within the next year, we're actually going to have those lights off, you know, so the process begin to get them off the parkway. Finally, for the first time, the money is in place. The final design is going in place. They're working on the wetlands mitigation, which is a complicated, bureaucratic, sometimes nonsensical process that has to take place, but that's all being worked on. And when the DOT Commissioner, Jim Simpson, who's doing a great job, I mean, he's really trying to juggle a lot of balls here at a difficult time, but really focusing on South Jersey, quite frankly. When he came before us on the Budget Committee, he was committed, and he said the Turnpike Authority is committed, and Veronica Hakem, who's the Executive Director of the Turnpike Authority, said the same thing. They're going to get the lights off, and they really are hopeful that that process is going to begin at the end of next year. So we're ever so close now. So Jill, I'm hoping I'm sitting with you when we make history someday, and I say, you know what, the process has started, and I'm hoping I sit with you someday and do an interview and say, isn't it nice to have the overpasses in place?
So let's focus on a few different projects. One is the elimination of the traffic lights on the Parkway. So conversations underway to actually eliminate
Final
those.
designs.
Final designs at this point. But there are a few other projects. One is related to the Beasley Point Bridge and the relationship between that and the Great Egg Harbor Bridge, which are Parkway related projects. Give us an update on what's happening there.
Okay. The Beasley's Point Bridge was a privately owned bridge. The state and the county took it over, and in the process really took a good look at it and determined, hey, it really can't be saved. It's an old bridge. It's what they call a wet bridge. It's right close to the water. So literally during stormy times, the water would almost hit the top of the bridge. The Great Egg Bridge is the big bridge that everybody's familiar with. They're parallel to each other, these two bridges, and that's the big high bridge that runs parallel to it. Well, that Great Egg Bridge was done in two sections. Actually, in the 1950s, there was only one bridge that was 2 lanes wide, which is now the southbound bridge, because in the 1970s they built another 2-lane bridge next to it, and we have a total of 4 lanes. And for evacuation purposes and a whole bunch of other reasons, we need to do more there, especially because the Beasley's Point Bridge is closed. So what's going to happen is the southbound bridge, built in the 50s, has some structural issues, needs to be replaced. The commissioner has come up with a great plan that we worked with him on, which would make it a 3-lane rather than a 2-lane bridge, and have a shoulder. Currently there are no shoulders there. So when there's an accident on these bridges, you can't get through. People are in ambulances. Talk about tourism, it's just awful when they get all clogged up for a whole host of reasons. Evacuation purposes, it really is a dangerous situation. So there's going to be a new southbound bridge, 3 lanes. In the process of building that new southbound bridge on the Parkway, they are also going to demolish the Beasley's Point Bridge, because they need to create wetlands because they're destroying some wetlands to build a big new bridge, and that's going to work out perfectly. So it's one of those, fortunately for a change, perfect scenarios, Jill, where you're actually going to save money, accomplish the task at hand, and remove the Beasley's Point Bridge and build a new, better bridge.
And a few seconds left, timeline for this?
Actually, hopefully the beginning of next year as well, actually the end of next year as well. We're going to have a lot going on.
All right, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
We've been talking with New Jersey State Senator Jeff Van Drew. I'm Jill Horner.